Meet Sarah. She's the employee every manager dreams of. First one in, last one out. Always said yes. Always volunteered. Always willing to take on one more project. If there was a problem, Sarah solved it. If someone called in sick, Sarah covered the shift. If a deadline seemed impossible, Sarah somehow made it happen. Her managers called her a future leader. Her coworkers admired her. She wasn't just a good employee. She was the employee every company wished they could clone. Then one day, she stopped. Not completely. She still showed up every morning. She still finished every assignment. She still attended every meeting. She still smiled when someone asked how she was doing. But somehow, she'd already left. Most people call what happened next quiet quitting. But they're wrong. Because quiet quitting doesn't begin when someone stops trying. It begins months earlier, inside the mind. And before this video ends, I'll share one simple question that can help you recognize this pattern before it happens to you. Most people think quiet quitting means employees have become lazy, that they suddenly stopped caring, that they decided to do the bare minimum. But psychology paints a very different picture. People rarely wake up one morning and decide, today, I'm going to stop trying. Instead, something much quieter happens. They slowly stop believing that trying harder will make any difference. And that's where Sarah's story really begins. When Sarah accepted her job, she wasn't just signing an employment contract. She was unknowingly making another agreement, an invisible one. Psychologists sometimes call this the psychological contract. It's not written on paper. No one explains it during orientation. Yet almost every employee carries one. It sounds something like this. I'll give my best. If I work hard, I'll grow. If I stay loyal, loyalty will be returned. If I solve problems, someone will notice. If I keep improving, opportunities will come. These expectations aren't unreasonable. In fact, they're what motivate many people to give everything they have. But invisible contracts can be broken just as easily as written ones. Maybe Sarah stayed late for months, and nobody noticed. Maybe she trained new employees without receiving recognition. Maybe she watched someone else receive the promotion she had worked toward. Maybe her ideas were ignored until someone else repeated them. None of these moments seem dramatic on their own. But together, they begin changing something much deeper than motivation. They begin changing belief. And once belief starts disappearing, effort quietly follows. Sarah's story doesn't have to become yours. Stay with me, because near the end of this video, I'll show you the one question that can help stop this cycle before it begins. Now here's where things become fascinating. Your brain is constantly asking one question. Is this worth the energy? Your brain is designed to conserve energy whenever it can. When extra effort consistently leads to meaningful rewards, recognition, learning, trust, career growth, fair pay, or genuine appreciation, it sees a reason to keep investing. But when the pattern starts looking different, more work, no recognition, more responsibility, no promotion, more sacrifices, no appreciation, your brain keeps score. Every ignored idea, every late night, every broken promise, every meeting where your effort went unnoticed. Eventually, your brain reaches a simple conclusion. The juice isn't worth the squeeze anymore. From that moment, doing less isn't about laziness. To your brain, it's survival. You might think this only happens to people looking for an excuse to slack off. But here's what's heartbreaking. It usually happens to the people who cared the most. The employees who volunteer first. The ones who solve everyone's problems. The ones who answer emails after dinner. The ones who skip lunch to finish projects. The ones who carry the team. Because when exceptional effort quietly becomes the expectation instead of the exception, burnout becomes almost inevitable. Yesterday's extra effort becomes today's minimum requirement. And that's exhausting. Not just physically, emotionally. Psychologists have studied this pattern for decades. When people repeatedly feel that their actions no longer influence the outcome, motivation naturally declines. Imagine trying to push a door every single day, only to discover it was locked the entire time. Eventually, you stop pushing, not because you're weak, because you've learned that pushing changes nothing. At work, that sounds like this. I stopped sharing ideas because nobody listened. I stopped volunteering because it didn't matter. I stopped asking for promotions because they always went to someone else. I stopped caring because caring became exhausting. From the outside, managers often see disengagement. Inside, the employee is carrying disappointment. That's why quiet quitting is rarely the beginning of the story. It's usually the ending. So how do you protect yourself before reaching that point? Ask yourself one question. If I continue working exactly like this for the next 2 years, will my life actually be better? Not busier, not more exhausted. Better. Will you be learning, growing, becoming healthier, building the future you actually want? If the honest answer is no, something needs to change. That doesn't always mean quitting your job. Sometimes it means setting healthier boundaries. Sometimes it means having difficult conversations. Sometimes it means investing in skills that open new opportunities. And sometimes it means realizing that your worth was never supposed to depend on one company recognizing your value. Working hard isn't the problem. Working hard without purpose, without appreciation, without growth, that's what slowly drains people. Now let's go back to Sarah. She didn't become lazy. She didn't lose her ambition. She didn't forget how to work hard. She simply stopped believing that giving more would change anything. And that's the real tragedy behind quiet quitting. By the time managers notice it, it usually started months earlier. People don't stop caring overnight. They stop caring. One disappointment at a time. One ignored idea. One broken promise. One thankless weekend. One extra responsibility. Until eventually, the loudest thing they have left to say is their silence. So before you call someone a quiet quitter, ask yourself one question. What happened that made them become quiet? Because behavior is almost always the symptom. Understanding the cause. That's where real change begins. If this video changed the way you think about work, burnout, or human psychology, make sure you subscribe and join us every week as we uncover the hidden psychology behind modern life, work, technology, relationships, and the invisible forces shaping our everyday decisions. And now I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a broken psychological contract at work? Or have you watched it happen to someone else? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If you enjoyed this deep dive, you'll love the next one appearing on your screen now. Click it, and let's continue exploring the fascinating psychology behind the world we live in. Until next time, stay curious, because once you understand the mind, you begin to understand everything else.